There are thousands of sound effects out there. Dings, glitches, drones, punches, hits. Yeah, and you know, I actually use a lot of them. But there are 3 types of sound effects that really stand out and I always come back to. They shape the story, give me direction in the edit and form the foundation of almost every video I make. So in this video I will break down what they are, how I use them and how you can use them to make your storytelling so much more engaging. But I didn't always work this way, you know. When I first started using sound effects, I thought the more I had, the better my edits would be. So I downloaded massive sound packs, thousands of files, and I would spend hours scrolling through them, convinced that I could find a perfect sound effect for every little piece in the edit. And while it was amazing to have all these options, it was also completely overwhelmed. The ones doing the really heavy lifting in my edits were always the same 3 kind of sound effects. Okay, and maybe there's a 4th as well, but I'll talk about that in the end of the video as well. So let's start with the first one, a sound that you probably heard 1,000 times, the whoosh. So whooshes are all about motion because they make your audience feel the direction. It makes them feel the speed of something and the weight of something. I will use whooshes for all kinds of movement in the frame, like if someone is walking past the camera or sprinting through the frame or even throwing something across, because it just makes the movement feel so much bigger. But they're also perfect, I think, for camera moves, like a quick pan from the left to the right, or a zoom in, or even a tilt upward to reveal something. And then there's using them between shots or scenes. That's where it feels like the whoosh is carrying you from one moment into the next. So it plays like one continuous moment instead of 2 separate cuts. So it makes the cut a little bit lighter. There's the heavy whooshes. They are more deep and more slow, more used for big objects, and it feels really cinematic. And I use this when an object or person is moving close to the camera, or it's a whoosh that I really want the audience to notice or to feel. Then there's the light whoosh, which is usually higher in pitch and quick and smooth, and it's great for fast transitions or fast movements. It can also feel a bit more like comedy or fun, a little bit less heavy. And then there's like the whip. It's short and really snappy for like whip pans or sudden action coming out of nowhere, and it's really good if you want to feel the speed. And I used that one a lot for comedy as well. Because for example, with a heavier whoosh, it looks much more serious, but with a lighter and quicker whip whoosh, it's much more like comedy, you see? And then there's a wind whoosh, which is soft and really drawn out. And that's really perfect for aerials or for floating shots, making it feel like you're gliding through the air or gliding through the shot. But movement alone isn't really enough, because sometimes you don't want to move the audience. You want to make them wait. And that is where the risers come in. They don't pull you forward like a whoosh. They kind of hold you right on the edge, waiting for what's next. So risers are tension. They create that feeling of something is coming, even if you don't know what. And I use risers in a bunch of different ways. Sometimes it's really to build suspense before a reveal, just slowly winding up the tension so the viewers really start leaning forward. And oftentimes it's to prepare them for a big scene change, so it doesn't feel like we just jumped somewhere random. And they're also perfect for leading into a smash cut, especially if it drops straight into silence. That contrast hits just way harder when there's a build-up before it. And if you don't know what a smash cut is, check out that video later, because there I explain everything about it. And I've got a few different kind of risers that I keep coming back to. There's like a low bass rumble. It's really subtle and you almost feel it more than you really hear it. And it's really great as a foundation under a scene when you're building tension. And then there's a cymbal riser. It's much sharper, it's much brighter, and it's really got this built-in sense of urgency. It really makes you feel like something is about to happen, and you notice it very well. And the reason that risers work so well is because good storytelling editing is all about tension and release. The riser is tension, and when it arrives at the climax, that's the release. And sometimes when that build-up finally ends, you need something for it to land on. Something that tells the audience this moment right here really matters. And that's where the impact comes in. So impacts are the moments that underline what's happening on the screen. Sometimes that's at the end of a build-up, like underlining a full stop, but other times it's just highlighting a specific moment in the middle of a scene. So that could be a physical hit where you actually see something making contact, like a door slamming shot or someone dropping something and giving that more impact, especially when you want to highlight that it's important for the story. But it could also be more visual, like cutting to a striking new scene and letting that impact make the change feel intentional. Either way, it's telling the viewer, pay attention to this. One of my favorite ways to use an impact is during a scene transition, when the music cuts out and that deep hit lands right as the new shot appears. Because then you don't only see the change, you also feel it. I keep a few types of impacts in my library. There's like the deep impacts, trailer style, very dramatic and often with a long tail. And then there are the sharp ones, more quick, more like the sound of one object hitting another. So here's where it really gets fun. You know, these three sounds, the whooshes, the risers and impacts, they aren't just great on their own. When you start layering them, you can control how your audience moves, how they wait and how they react, you know, all in perfect rhythm with your story. So the real magic happens when you start layering these sounds together. So one of my go-tos is a riser into an impact, that classic build and drop. It's perfect for reveals or those big dramatic cuts where you really want the moment to land. And I also love combining a low rumble riser together with a cymbal riser. So you get this deep growing tension underneath and then like this sharp bright lift on top. And it's really one of my favorite combinations right before the smash cut. A whoosh into an impact is great when you want a cut to stand out. You know, the whoosh adds the motion and the impact hits right as the new shot appears and gives it, really extra attention. So this is why I say these three can really form the base of almost any story. They cover movement, anticipation, and emphasis. But there's one sound that I can't leave out, and it's really small, really simple, but really satisfying as well. But first, I have a bit of a confession to make, because the video that you're watching right now was actually already finished a few months ago. But I didn't upload it for just one reason, because ever since I started YouTube, there was one thing that I really wanted to do. So a little over a year ago, I called Vincent Jacobs. He's an incredibly talented sound designer I worked with when I was still directing and creating big commercials. Hey Vincent.
Hey dude.
And I asked him, hey, what do you think about creating a sound effects pack together? And his answer was,
oh yes, that's a great idea.
What we thought would take a few months turned into more than a year. Calls, texting, studio recordings, and testing everything inside my own edits. But now it's finally done. And it's called
the Story Sound Pack.
The Story Sound Pack. Sounds great. It's built around the exact sounds that I use as the foundation of my edits. The whooshes, the risers, the impacts, and that sound that we still have to talk about, the clicks. These are all handmade sounds designed by us, and the best thing is that we've also created these layered transitions. So instead of stacking all these different sounds yourself every time, you can just drop one in and it already has that depth and movement built in for the perfect scene transition. So, if you want your videos to feel bigger without feeling completely overwhelmed by thousands of sound effects, you can check it out. The link's in the description. I hope you really like it. Let me know. And now, let's talk about that last sound. I just love clicks so much. Clicks are short sounds. It could be a camera shutter or a pen click or a mouse click, and they're really perfect for sequences that need to feel snappy and quick. One of my favorite tricks is using clicks in quick scenes, like showing 3 or 4 related shots, each one hitting on a click. And it's very subtle, but it makes your edit feel alive as well. Or you can pair a click with a whoosh for a funny transition. So now let's look one more time at the hook to see all the sound effects together and what they do. So I'm going to show you the hook once more, but now with only sound effects. This is the timeline right here. So these bluish ones are all risers. Then the purple ones are all whooshes. Then the yellowish ones are all impacts. Now we've got some other sounds here, and you see the clicks over here. So yeah, just pay attention how these sound effects do their work in the hook. There we go. So that really is how I use the risers, the whooshes, the impacts and clicks to make the hook really alive. And yeah, of course, all these sounds are from the Story sound pack. So yeah, if you like them, go check it out. If you found this useful, please let me know in the comments because I read them all and it really helps me out. Also give a thumbs up for the video. And if editing sometimes feel like the hardest part for you, be sure to watch this video next because it might just help you with that. And create something beautiful.